So a few weeks ago, I start looking at my calendar, and I recognize that I have a debate coming up at the end of March with Steve Gregg. Now, last year, I had done a number of programs called Radio Free Geneva on the dividing line. The reason being, we had actually for a number of years been getting emails from people basically accusing us of, I think the terminology one of them used was picking the low-hanging fruit by reviewing people like Dave Hunt and George Bryson and their objections to Reformed theology or Calvinism. And they said, if you really want to go for the best guy, here's Steve Gregg. You need to listen to these MP3s. He's in-depth, he's clear, and this is the guy you've got to respond to. So I downloaded the MP3s. It was 13 and a half hours of them. And I was doing a lot of riding at the time, and so I just would start doing, a 20, 30-mile ride and just listen to as much as I could. And we started reviewing them on the dividing line and did a number of those programs. And so people were saying, well, you all need to do a debate. Now, Mr. Gregg has a radio program. We have the dividing line. We can obviously move the time of the dividing line. We can be flexible, so we can simulcast at the same time that I would be on with him, something like that. So anyway, toward the end of last year, I think it was in November, as I recall, maybe even October. I don't remember now. I was contacted by a church in Northern California that said that they wanted to host a debate between myself and Steve Gregg, and I had seen actually a picture of the facility, very nice facility, be perfect for videotaping, and so I said that would be fine. And then Mr. Gregg and I were to work out the details. And so finally, I realized, this debate's coming up, and as I had read an email from Steve Gregg, he had said, my views have changed some since I've started doing debates with Calvinists. The MP3 files you listen to are rather old. Even I haven't listened to them, he said, for a long time. And so he gave me a link to some threads on his web board. Well, there's like 200 pages worth of stuff. And so I asked one of the folks in channel, a very kind lady, to help me out, and she went through and sent me the relevant material, but also pointed my attention to some of the statements that Steve Gregg had made fairly recently that were pretty amazing. And so I saw them, about depriving himself of sleep a few days before the debate to make it fair, and things like that. And I looked at these, and they had been posted, more than a month, almost 2 months ago. And so I wrote a blog article, and I did not respond in kind. I just simply said, I've never had anyone make statements like this before a debate before, and it was about the debate. And I did try to interact with one element of Matthew chapter 11 or something like that. And the blog article is still on my blog. You can go back and take a look at it. Well, this morning, the church contacted me and requested that I remove that blog article. It became very, very clear to me that we would be causing a major problem at this church if we were to have the debate there. It takes a special kind of church to have a debate on Calvinism and Arminianism. You either have to be a very firmly Arminian church or a very firmly Calvinistic church. The ones in the middle aren't really best suited for this. Now, the one exception, we did have a debate with George Bryson in Los Angeles at the Anaheim Vineyard, but nobody from the church showed up, actually. Everybody in the audience was from some other church. We were competing with, as I recall, a mime preparation seminar that night, so there wasn't anybody from the church there, so it wasn't a major league big deal. But anyway, I recognize that this subject is extremely controversial, and that there are people who become very, very upset about it. And I do not want to cause problems for a local church. And since both Mr. Gregg and I have the means through our webcasts and radio programs to do this kind of exchange without causing issues like that, I have canceled that debate on, I believe it was March 30th it was going to be, simply because I am very concerned that if there was offense, and what was communicated to me was there was offense just over my having posted that blog article, and I didn't even respond to anything. If there is offense this far out of something that tepid, that non-offensive, then clearly there's a huge chance that as we get closer Even once money's been spent and plans have been made, as we get closer, the chances get greater and greater that it's going to get canceled anyways. And I really don't have any confidence that halfway through the debate it wouldn't be called off if there was any heat generated by the exchanges at all. And so I don't want to have a debacle like that take place. Since there's some other mechanisms to do this, then we'll do it in another way, and that'll work out best. Now, I should mention that because of this, Steve Gregg removed those comments from his web board. I didn't ask him to do that. And some people say, well, why don't you remove the blog article? Well, the problem is, once you hit post, once you hit send on the internet, it's there. There are how many thousands of RSS readers that already have that blog article in them? I can't recall it. And in fact, when you do try to delete something like that, in essence, all you're doing is making it all the more popular. I wonder why it disappeared, people go. Steve Gregg has apologized for the comments. He says they were meant in a somewhat lighthearted fashion. He does really believe that on this issue, I'm that far out to lunch, on this issue, not on other issues like the King James only controversy or things like that. And quite honestly, he's not familiar with my work amongst Muslims or Mormons or Roman Catholicism, stuff like that. He just hasn't read any of that, so doesn't have any knowledge of that. But I think that those words, he says they were in their forum, and therefore it's a little bit more a lighthearted context, and I understand that. It'd be a little bit like someone posting stuff from my chat channel all the time, as if that was the final word in my presentations as well. So Mr. Gregg has graciously apologized for any offense. My concern wasn't the offense. My concern was when someone says that, for example, my exegetical method is imbalanced, but then you go back and you listen to all of the criticisms that I've offered of Steve Gregg. This morning I listened to the commentary on Acts 13:48, which I'm going to link on my blog with this particular video. The exegesis I offered of Acts 13:48, my criticism of his perspective, was perfectly balanced, even according to the standards he himself lists. And so that is the thing that really concerns me, and I think the only way to solve that particular issue is for Steve and I to actually get around to doing this debate. And so we're going to look at how to arrange this, how to do it, maybe over the course of a week's time or something, with the dividing line with his radio program and things like that. So for those, hopefully no one was making major plans as far as Northern California was concerned, but I just felt that it would be very inappropriate to continue at that particular venue and force that church to deal with very unhappy congregational members, it would seem, if that debate were to go on. So we'll obviously let you know what's going to develop over time as far as when we'll be able to do the radio online type of exchange. But as far as a live debate before an audience, I just don't see that happening anytime in the near future. So there's the story, the developments today. Thanks for watching.